Impossible, improbable, impossible, impossible, impossible. Yes, 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 yes. Hello. Oh, hi, everybody. So good to see you on this Sunday afternoon. Oh, Lord, look at this. Wait. Hold up. JB got to fix something. Wait. Left to Lucy, right? He's like, wait, hold up. And then we gotta, all right. That was a little too low. All right. Are we good? Okay, great. All right. Welcome to RBN and welcome to the JB show on this Sunday, December 11th, 2022. First off, baby, Tony, happy birthday to you. I know how you feel about birthdays, but happy birthday. I love you. Also, hello to everybody who's in the chat as well as watching on the rewatch. So good to see you. Just to let you guys know, the JB show is every single Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch me on RBN live on Tuesdays at 4 and the Sabby and JB show on Thursdays at 6. I also have my own channel called the JB Font Channel. If you guys would like to catch me, you can catch me on Tuesdays at 2 Eastern Standard Time. And then I also do my readings and maybe some extra streams during the week. Make sure to give this stream a like because guess what? You know the algorithm don't like us. You know. You know. When you know, you know. If you don't know, now you know. And so also thanks to all the patrons on Patreon. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this channel. We just wouldn't. It'd be extremely difficult. So yeah, thank you so much. As per usual, I have my or wait, with ginger and honey, I like TTT. So yeah, it's Christmas time, so it's good. All right. So before I get started, I wanted to share something really quick because I wanted to show this, and I was going to show this just as an intro video, but I completely. But even still, I would like for you guys to see this because this is very important. All right, boom. Wait, do I have it? All right, so
sheep preaching hate when he says, I'm not going to let the wolf eat me anymore. If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf the violent one? He wasn't teaching hate. He was teaching common sense. You know, somebody's knocking you over the head, stop them. Do whatever you have to do to stop them. You know, the ones that were knocking him over the head were afraid of the fact that he might swing back. So they said, no, he's teaching hate. He's violent. Is the sheep preaching hate when he says, I'm not going to let the wolf eat me anymore? If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf the violent one? He wasn't teaching hate. He was teaching common sense. You know, somebody's knocking you over the head, stop them. Do whatever you have to do to stop them. You know, the ones that were knocking him over the head were afraid of the fact that he might swing back. So they said, no, he's teaching hate. He's violent.
I'm going to do my best Morgan Freeman. He's right, you know. Let's go to the chat to say hello to everybody as per usual. Whoa! All right. Eric Graves in the chat says, sup, y'all? This should be another banger as per usual. Thank you so much, Eric. We got Nick O in the chat saying, hope you had a good weekend, comrades. Hope you had a good weekend too, Nick. Miguel H is in the chat saying, peace. So good to see you. Old Man Barker says, eh? Hello, Old Man Barker, eh? Wadi says, hey, everybody. So good to see you. All right. Black Unit Griffin says, what's up? What's up, Black Unit Griffin? All right. Jenna Kobe is up in his house. Angela says, greetings all. Sorry, I was so full of bubbliness and happiness from seeing some of y'all. It just came up within me. All right. Vincent Cafe says, hello, fams. Good to see you. Mr. Bork says, good to see you, JB. And I love how Mr. Bork has the droopy avatar. Good to see you, JB. Sorry. Welcome to RBN. That was so stupid. All right. Bill Bradley says, they aren't shadow banning you. It's just visibility filtering, which is in no way the same thing or something. LOL. I saw that. I saw that on Twitter. Visibility filtering? That's shadow ban. They are trying to sell us a diamond encrusted bridge over a volcano right now, and we ain't buying. Nope. All right. Who else do we got in the chat that I need to say hello to? All right. We have Rick Solis. So good to see you. Hey, y'all. Good to see you, Rick. All right. Carrie Scott is giving some love to Wadi. Wadi, you hear that, Wadi? All right. Mastermind Hour says, hi, fam. Good to see you, Mastermind Hour. So good to see you. We have Uncle Warren in the chat saying, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you, my compadre. All right. John is in the chat saying, hey, JB, much love. Happy Sunday. Much love to you too, John. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. The Jam Nom 93 says, whoa, that was really good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I aim to please. All right, let me stop. Max says, how are you today, guys? Hey, everybody, give a shout out to Max. Good to see you in the chat as well. All right. Who else? Oh, wait. You said I have a 24 karat solid gold bridge for sale. Absolutely. Is anybody in the chat on Rockfin yet? Not yet. All right. We'll get back to you in a quick second. But good to see you nonetheless. All right. Okay. I will not be talking about rail workers today, Max. A lot of my colleagues, whether here on RBN or my contemporaries who are also in the indie media space, have actually been covering that pretty well. Not gonna lie. Whether you look at Savvy, who actually had rail workers on, if you guys haven't checked that out, check that out. Also, check out CJ's last stream when he was talking about rail workers. Look, hey, Brianna Joy Gray and Shama Sawant, they lit some fire. They premiered that on Bad Faith, talking to Ryan Grimm. That was a very interesting stream. I had to watch that live. I was like this. I was like, oh, what did she say? That's how I was. I was like, what? No, girl. That's how I was. Okay, catch that. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about some workers, but it's not going to be real workers. It's actually going to be Frito Lay / PepsiCo former employee that I'll be touching on. That is going to be an interesting story. Shout out to Rome, who actually shared this story with me. And I was just like, yo, I'm playing this on my show. So I'm going to be talking about that. And then also the police department scorecard. Shout out to Roger Meadows, who actually sent this to me. And he was like, JB, I think you guys need to take a look at this. I was like, okay. So then I was just like, okay. So I took a look at it. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, yeah, we're doing this on RBN. Absolutely. So shout out to y'all over there as well. Thank you for the super chat. Neo's algorithm says, Jay, almost at 200 views on my YouTube launch. Could you do a live react? It's only 8 minutes. I could probably do it on my channel. But yeah, I mean, why not? I could probably do it on my channel. But yeah, I don't know about doing it here on RBN. But you know, I can do reactions like that on my channel though, because I have full control of my channel. But yeah, thank you very much, by the way. Hey, Bling Girl, so good to see you. Now, let's get into the story. So, I'm going to save the heartwarming story for last because the PepsiCo one, that's going to be a bit of a downer. It is. I'm just being real with you. So we're going to meet a family, and one of the family members was a employee for PepsiCo / Frito Lay. So if you guys don't know, PepsiCo, who the owners of Pepsi, they're the umbrella company and they own Frito Lay. In fact, let me see about let me see. Just to give you guys a okay. Wait, is this thing trying to fine, accept cookies. God damn, get out of my way. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I'm gonna show you guys what PepsiCo owns, so you guys get an idea of how extensive this corporation is first. All right. So this is on the PepsiCo's website, right? And they also have some of the products there that you can see, right? But we're going to go to the list. So 500 plus brands we offer, right? So let me go back. All right. So as you can see, of course, they own Lay's. They own Frito Lay. So of course, Lay's chips, any type of flavor Lay's chips that you can think of. Of course, they own Pepsi. They own Off the Eaten Path, Aquafina, Doritos, Gatorade, SodaStream. So those of us who are trying to step away, have a more healthier version of something that's carbonated, well, and you guys want to get SodaStream, well, Pepsi also owns SodaStream. Remember, kids, there is no ethical consumption in capitalism. Walkers, I don't know who the hell Walkers is, but it looks similar to the Lay potato chip logo. Of course, Mountain Dew. Did you know that Quaker Oats is owned by PepsiCo? Interesting, right? You have Mirinda, Tostitos, and it basically stops there. But you go here, it shows even the Starbucks drinks that they share. Sabra, the hummus, they own that. They own all these different products. So With that being said, you know that they are a massive, massive company. Now, just to show you guys how much they make before I get into the meat of the story, just go on the Google machine, right? And I looked up the net profits for PepsiCo. $7.618 billion in 2021. Says PepsiCo net income for the 12 months ending in September 30th, 2022 was $9.714 billion, a 19.32% increase year over year. PepsiCo annual net income for 2021 was $7.618 billion, a 6.99 increase from 2020. PepsiCo net income for 2020 was $7.12 billion, a 2.65% decline from 2019. Of course, we had the pandemic going on in 2020. So, with that being said, if anything happens to a worker, they should be able to compensate them properly, right? Right? Let's get into the story. So, Rome shared this with me. I'm going to be honest with you. It's depressing. It depressed me a lot, quite a bit. Let me see if I can expand this. Okay, I can expand it. Okay. All right. So let me share my screen. This is going to be a kind of an emotional. It's going to be an emotional ride. I'm going to be honest with you. So if you're feeling, on the, more negative side today, and you really don't want to hear anything like this, then it's okay if you want to skip this part of the stream at least. But this is also very important to know what these corporations are doing to people and expand these voices. So this was actually an interview out of from More Perfect Union. More Perfect Union is actually a pretty good group to follow, especially talking about workers and workers' rights and unions. So I recommend that you guys actually subscribe to More Perfect Union, on different social medias. I know they're on Twitter, they're here on Facebook. So, and they put out great stories. So I'm gonna make sure this is go and let's go.
Are stalking us, recording my kids playing in the yard.
I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
I tried to hold it in. I'm sorry.
So I got the job at Frito Lay in January of 2011. Prior to Frito Lay, I was in the United States Navy.
Leaving the service, he just needed to matter. He needed to belong and have a purpose. We both thought he found that in Frito Lay. And so we kind of centered our life around it.
I worked hard. I bust my butt every day, in and out. Shit, my wife was going to divorce me because she didn't even think I was at work for real.
No, I did not believe my husband just spent 20 hours at work. No one would believe that. He's not a doctor. It's chips. It's chips and dip.
I went on a stretch one time of like 26 days in a row. Was using a dock door. You press the button and it automatically does what it's supposed to do. I got electrocuted. I was taken to the ER, but the emergency room they took me to was 45 minutes away. We passed 4 hospitals on the way to the hospital they wanted to take me to. And the reason that is because they signed a contract with a certain hospital and a certain network.
From the very next day.
So did you guys hear that? I'm going to go back just so that we can listen to what he said regarding the hospital. Just that alone.
Into the ER, but the emergency room they took me to was 45 minutes away. We passed 4 hospitals on the way to the hospital they wanted to take me to. And the reason that is because they signed a contract with a certain hospital and a certain network.
From the very
They signed a contract with a certain hospital because they were in a certain network. He gets electrocuted, right? And if anybody knows about being electrocuted, is that literally can stop your heart, right? Minutes. You have minutes to get that person to a hospital and get them stable. And the ambulance had to drive 45 minutes and pass 4 hospitals to take them to the one where Frito Lay wants them to go to. When people look at me crazy when I say, nah, we are not going to just do single payer healthcare. We're going to nationalize everything. This is why. Because the hospitals making bank, right? Because they are like, oh, we'll take it all Frito Lay employees. And Frito Lay is saving money because they got a special contract with the hospital. Like, are you serious right now?
With a certain hospital and a certain network.
From the very next day after the accident, my husband was never the same. He was working really hard to even just get up on to the side of the bed. Usually he's like hops out of bed and he hurries up, puts his clothes on, and he shoves food down his throat and he's out the door, in 30 minutes. He was used to it. He was trained to do that in the service.
When I say I was healthy as Knox, I was healthy as Knox.
We just didn't have any answers. They said he should have been fine, but he wasn't.
I didn't get any time off after the incident. I had to call off the next day as a sick day. I told you I was in pain. I told you it hurts when I walk. And it was like, okay, are you going to be here tomorrow?
That's typically a meme, bruh. That's typically a meme. Like, oh man, I lost a limb. Oh man, that's terrible. So you gonna be in the next day? That's a meme, bro. That's supposed to be a joke. It is not supposed to be something that's real life. You get electrocuted and they're like, oh, are you coming in the next day? What? Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. The same people that want you to buy their chips are treating their employees like this. You get electrocuted and your boss is calling you and to say, are you still coming in? Shut this shit down, please. What?
I was a site lead, and I know what that entails. You're a leadership of the whole warehouse. So if you have to fill in, you have to fill in. I asked for some type of relief, period, because I was still obligated to work, like picking cases and unloading trucks or rotating product on a forklift. I asked for a chair that I could sit in that would make me more comfortable while I'm doing my office work. They denied it.
That's illegal. That's illegal. Because if you have an employee that is experiencing a physical ailment or disability and you deny them that, it's not like he was like, oh, I just won't do the job. He's like, okay, if I have to come in, can I at least have a chair to sit in order to do my job? They wouldn't even make that concession. When I first saw this, I was just shaking my head the whole time. I was shaking my head. Sea lion. Sea lion says, how much are your limbs worth? Yeah. Like, what? Are you kidding me right now?
You're either 100% or you can't work. It just felt like they was just trying to push me out.
That's exactly
So
what they're trying to do.
eventually, I got an MRI by my primary doctor, and he showed that I had 2 herniated discs in my back. And he was like, you shouldn't be doing anything. They could only fix it with surgery.
And my husband still had to work this whole entire time.
They had to remove 2 of the discs in my neck because they were bulging into my spinal cord. I wasn't getting enough fluid to my brain. If I didn't have the surgery, the doctor said any small fall or accident or something like that, and I would have been paralyzed from the neck down or dead. I still have to have surgery on my lower lumbar spine.
From the moment that he couldn't work anymore and needed short-term disability, Frito Lay abandoned us.
I had to file for short-term disability and then long-term disability. Got approved for long-term disability, but that was months later. So no income coming in.
Yeah, so the problem, here's the thing with disability. So one of the things that they do is that in order to approve you for disability, it's a months-long process. So in the interim, between having your disability approved to the point where you actually start receiving your benefits takes a while. But here's the problem. If you start earning any type of income whatsoever, let's say hypothetically he got himself a podcast, right? Just to start earning some type of income out of work. Or let's say he did something like a desk job just to earn something in the meantime before he can get approved, before he can start earning his actual disability. They will look at that and they will cancel it right out. They'll say, no, you can't have it. Even though he absolutely needs it and he really shouldn't be doing anything. Even if he forgoed that and tried to at least get something just until that happens, no. So he literally had to basically live this miserly, decrepit life until he can get approved for long-term disability. And mind you, as a disability recipient, I can tell you this. The amount that they give you is wholly inadequate. And this is why people look at me like I'm crazy when I say we need to quadruple the disability benefits to people in this country. Social Security retirement and Social Security disability benefits recipients need to have their amounts, their benefit amounts, quintupled. Quintupled. That's how wholly inadequate it is. And even still, it's only to get us to what I like to call a living income. That's it. We're not living high on the hog here. That even when it's quintupled, that's not living high on the hog. That's just getting to a point where you don't need much assistance when it comes to housing, food, transportation, things like that. That's basically what it is. That's all. And so he goes from making probably a fairly decent wage in disability to the point where, a decent wage at Frito Lay, to now having to go months-long stretch without any income and being disabled, and then finally when he gets his disability, it's peanuts. So that's how it works. And a lot of people don't know that. And this is why I say, if you are an able-bodied person and you don't pay attention to what's going on as far as Social Security, retirement, and disability, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not paying enough attention. Because if you're a healthy, able-bodied person who's watching this stream right now, you are going to need Social Security one of two ways. Either you're going to grow old or you're going to become disabled. One of the two is going to happen. Anything outside of that, you're dead. You're dead. Let's be real. So this is why it's important to pay attention to this. And then when you get politicians who talk about, oh, well, we need to increase the rate, the age for Social Security, retirement. What? Or we need to cut entitlements like Social Security. This is what you're cutting? Cutting? How many people who are in Social Security that are living in poverty and they want to cut it? Look at what this family's going through. That's the real shit around Social Security, around disability, around retirement, that a lot of people aren't talking about. Let's continue.
That's a picture of the car. We were driving.
They require you to go to the doctor so many times, and the doctor has to say that you're in this condition over and over and over. But guess what? You don't have any insurance anymore through PepsiCo / Frito Lay because they cut you off. I had to pay for that out of pocket too. Didn't have the money to do that. So guess what? I borrowed money or used credit cards or whatever I could. I even took money out my kids. We
had to take from our children to live.
Here's the problem. And this is a running joke in the Black community. But when we get to the real nitty-gritty about this is how sad the state is in this country. How many of y'all have parents that took credit out in your name, or they put the electric in your name as a child because your credit was so bad because of things that have happened? How many of y'all had that happen to? How many stories have you heard that, especially in the Black community? Oh man, my mama, my daddy, they put the electric in my name when I was only 5 years old. They took credit out in my name. And we're laughing about it. But that's really the sad state of affairs that we live in, this failed state. So by the time we even get to our credit, when we're adults, some of us already got bad credit and we're just old enough. We're just old enough to drink. And how that happened? Mom and dad had to take out, they had to put the electric in our name, or they had to take out a credit card in our name, or something. They had to use our Social Security in order to get things that we need. And some people be like, oh, well, that's irresponsible. Well, when you're in dire straits, what do? What do you do? We ain't got no families with a whole bunch of money. When you're poor, damn near everybody in your circle is poor. How many people have had a bill collector's call and you're telling the bill collector, man, I don't have it. Well, can you ask and then the bill collector goes, can you ask your family? No, you can't ask our family because they ain't got it either. If they had it, I wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. You wouldn't be calling my phone. But guess what? This is the failed state that we live in. That parents now literally have to take from their kids in order to survive. America is the greatest country in the world. Capitalism is the best that we have. What do you want? Socialism? Let's continue. If your heart's not breaking over this, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you.
We had to take from our children to live.
And the doctor knew what was going on, so he was like, look, just pay half of what you owe every visit, and we'll just take care of the rest later. I never wanted to have a lawsuit, just not me, but I did ask for help, and I wasn't getting it.
So this is what they do. These corporations are like the mafia. They are the mafia. I want you guys to pay attention to this. This is what they do.
Frito Lay, Pepsi, Sedgwick, whoever has people following my family. They are stalking us.
Just to find something to be like, oh, he's okay.
Recording my kids playing in the yard, recording me doing yard work. They follow me in traffic, on the highway, on streets. They follow me when I gave birth to my baby. They follow me to my daughter's school. I took my daughter out of school and decided to homeschool because I don't know if we're safe. I don't know how many people they've given our address and name and information to just to prove my husband wrong.
That's stalking. That's stalking. A corporation is stalking you. Capitalists justify this. Justify it. Because some of y'all would say, oh, well, this is just a smart business move because we don't want to get cheated. What did I say? Over $7 billion in net profit? Over $7 billion. And just pure profit. That's after they paid operational costs. That's after they paid for advertising. That's after they paid all their employees, their salaries and whatnot. After everything, net profit over $7 billion. Do you think that some a little bit of it, just a tiny fraction of it, could have went to a family like this because of an electrical failure in your system that they were hurt by? And yet you're so tight-fisted even though you're the one at fault. And the crazy part about it is, this is not an isolated incident. These corporations, these multinationals do this shit every single time. Because guess what? They have these apparatuses set up in place so that they don't pay for damages. They asked for help, they wouldn't get it. So then they had to go the legal route and sue. And because they tried to go the legal route and sue, Pepsi was like, oh, hell no, they're not getting a dime, a cent from us. Because this is literally blaming the victim. He did his job and he suffered. And it was because he was on the clock doing his job properly. They decided, nah, we're not giving him a damn thing. Capitalists, make sense of that. Make sense of it. Explain yourself. Because this is what corporations have done for decades. Let's continue.
They've done it for years.
Why are you fighting so hard to say that I'm not hurt instead of just look at the paperwork, look at the medical stuff, look at everything I've been through? You would think that I'm a bad employee the way that everything just went. I've never done anything wrong to this company or even with this company. I have numerous awards to show that I'm not a person that you just throw away. I knew the sales side, I knew the operation side. I mean, hell, you could have just let me be a lead and just manage instead of physically working.
Billion-dollar corporations like Pepsi, which owns Frito Lay, they know this is happening to people and they do nothing about it. My husband shouldn't have to fight for 5 years over something that took less than 5 minutes to impact our entire life. He pushed a button at work, a button he can't avoid pushing. He has to push it. It's his job.
For a company that talks about diversity and culture and a family-oriented business, family don't just throw you out because you get injured.
The company makes over $200 billion a year, okay? It's chips. But my husband is worth $0 to them because he's no longer able to push those chips.
You are a number. You're a piece of property. I bust my butt for them. Blood, sweat, tears, sacrifices, holidays, birthdays. I miss so much family things because they make you feel like if you don't do what they say, they will let you go.
I don't even know where to go from here. Honestly, all the life goals and marriage goals and family goals that we had are gone. And I just have to figure out how to survive. And my goal and hopes and dreams now is for my husband to get back healthy and still be alive with us in the future. He dodged bullets in the city of St. Louis growing up. He dodged gangs. He stayed out of all of that. He went to war. He dodged bullets and bombs and came back to me. And now he's been electrocuted at work. We don't know what's going to happen from day to day. My husband stops breathing at night in his sleep. I have to wake him up at night to make sure he keeps breathing. I have to help with my children who don't understand they can't jump and play with daddy.
I mean, I just went from a very fit guy to a guy who is disabled and can barely just handle regular life stuff. I'm 36. I should be able to play with my kids in the yard. I just want my life back.
You know, one thing, first of all, thank you to Rome for sharing that story with me. One thing that is always stressed upon me is this is why workers need to own the means of production. Workers need to own. Because if the electrical systems were working properly, then something like that probably would have never happened. If they actually were taking a look at it all the time. And even still, if it was an accident, proper compensation would have been given so that that family does not have to work ever again. Because he did what he was supposed to do, and he got hurt on the job doing it while building profit for that company. This is why I believe in worker-owned companies, because these corporations only care about profit. And even the slightest bit of inconvenience that cuts into their profit is something that they must avoid and fight to the nail. And this is exactly what they do. Even to people that deserve compensation for what has happened to them. So every single time someone says, oh, somebody's just trying to, they're just trying to get off, they're just trying to make money. That's projection, because that's what the corporations do. And for all intents and purposes, this gentleman did all the right things as far as his country's concerned. He lived in the hood in St. Louis. He stayed out of trouble, right? Joined the military to fight for his country, right? Did that. Then started making profits for this multi-billion-dollar company. And then he gets electrocuted because of this corporation, their lackadaisical safety measures, maybe cutting corners, maybe. And now, because he's electrocuted, now he's paying the price. And somebody would go, well, this is why you save your money. Well, this is why you have a retirement. This is why you invest in your 401k, man. You just got to invest. You got to have that hustle mindset, bro. You wouldn't fall into this situation. So people who say shit like that, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. That's bullshit. Even when you try to do the right things, you still get shafted by the corporations. He was under attack because in the hood where crime is high is because poverty is high. So guess what? The military industrial complex makes money off of the police by giving the police militarized weapons. So guess what? And the prison industrial complex makes money by police actually putting more people into the prisons. So they try to get him there. They failed. Then he went to serve his country in the military. And guess what? Working for the military industrial complex, damn near directly, guess what? He survived that. So guess what? He lived. Even though he did make money for the military industrial complex, even though that's not what he intended to do, but guess what? That's how they do it. They make you think that you're serving your country when you're actually serving Raytheon. Anyway, so he survived. Then he started to work for another multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they got some wealth out of him there, and then he got electrocuted. And instead of saying, okay, you did good for us, here you go, you're compensated, they said, no, fuck you, we're out. And so then, if somebody like him were to commit a crime in order to feed his family, then guess what? Then you would get people who go, oh, he's just a bad person. he just did the wrong thing. He went about it the wrong way. This dude has been trying to do it the right way the entire time. So many of us try to do it the right way, and we still get shafted. This is why a foundational change from the ground up needs to happen. Let me go to Rockfin really quick. I'm pissed off because when you see stories like this, it's like, what else can you say about these corporations? So Linda, thank you so much for the generous tips on Rockfin. Linda says a lot of the products such as SodaStream and Sabara are boycotted by the supporters of BDS. That's boycott, divestment, and sanctions for people who don't know. Interesting. Thank you so much, Linda. Ben Smith says, and can't find a lawyer. Yeah. Linda Corey continues, says, tragic and criminal aren't powerful enough words to describe what was done by PepsiCo did to this family. Absolutely. This is criminal. It's criminal. I'm going to go to a few comments in the chat. Bill Bradley says, capitalism. The system leaves more and more people behind, even in a totally free market. Thank you so much. Joseph says, where's all that God and country conservatives coming to his defense? What the F? Absolutely. Where are they? Because the thing is that he did all the right things. He did all the right things. Right? Actually, volunteers, girl, whether it's crony, whether it's late stage, it's all capitalism. She says you are willingly conflating capitalism with cronyism as if they are the same thing, as if one doesn't lean heavily into government to get them contracts. No. Capitalism, by any color, by any stretch, is still capitalism. You're just seeing the later effects of what it does. You're seeing the later symptoms of the underlying problem that is going on, right? It's just like the virus is capitalism. The symptoms are a lot of the things that you call crony. The thing is that the symptoms are just the symptoms of the underlying cause. I could have watery eyes. I could have a blocked runny nose. I can have ear infections. I can have delayed breathing. All these different symptoms of a particular virus that's underlying. I can say the runny nose is cronyism, but really, what's the underlying cause? The underlying cause is the virus. Capitalism is the virus. So it's not equating cronyism and capitalism. Capitalism is the culprit. So therefore, we're not going to sit here and apologize for a system that requires infinite growth on a planet with finite resources. I'm sorry, but we can't do that. What is capitalism? It is one or a small group of people owning the means of production and then using that means of production to create profit, and then it takes all the profit away from the workers that are operating the means of production, and from those workers taking the surplus labor away from them. And in doing so, they use those profits in order to buy out the government so that they can continue to keep hoarding profits. And in doing so, they make laws to favor them. And that's what it is. And that's what has been going on. And they've been doing that ever since they brought my ancestors to this country. Because that was capitalism. because they wanted free labor. That's what my ancestors come in. And that's why they killed and took the land from the indigenous people, because that's what capitalists do. So it's not cronyism, it's capitalism. It's just cronyism is part of the symptom of capitalism. I think we're good now. Jenna says, now more than ever, you just got to invest. People are effed. Have you seen the stock market? Yeah, absolutely. Bill says, and that's not even address the process, reduces the capitalist profit margin. And so they have to produce more to maintain overall profits, which leads to overproduction. The Jan Mom says, I have a co-op grocery store and coffee shop in my beat area, but definitely more needs to be done. The Jan Mom, are you on Twitter? Because I like to give attention to co-ops to increase their business if possible, especially if they do good business, especially they treat customers really well, especially they treat their workers really well, because how well you treat your workers is also indicative how well they treat the customers. And so I would like to know, like, if you can like tag me on Twitter and be like, oh, this is the co-op's website that I go to, the coffee shop and grocery store. And then if we can highlight them so that they can continue to earn, more, if it's actually truly worker owned, then great, because we want to actually make co-ops more popular. So thank you so much for that. Desert Mantis says, Sea Lion Defense Brigade, I am sorry that you lost her. Oh man, I didn't get to see that. I'm sorry. Mm-mm-mm. Cobra Commander, good to see you, Cobra Commander, says, my sister died at Walmart and they deleted the video footage. My family's poor, so what could we do? We just moved on because we didn't want that pain. Oh my God, man. Oh my gosh. Yo, I'm sorry, Cobra Commander. I'm sorry. Mm-mm-mm. General Abalon says, those who get ahead with admittedly hard effort feel like acknowledging luck is also a major factor, lowers the value of their work. Ooh, bars, General Abalon. Hence, they have convinced themselves it's just lazy people. Oh, yeah, that's actually how it is a lot. Oh, I just got lucky. When the thing is that the system is set up so that the only way you can actually succeed is through luck. That's the crazy part. Wow, great. Marxist Saw says production is what continues society, not government. So a state can only answer to what gives ownership over production. Capital isn't worth more than paper without production. Production has power. Thank you so much. Jenna is right. The shit people say to defend this is horrifying in this horrifying system. And yes, Sea Lion Defense Brigade says workers need to have pain and suffering recognized under the law. Absolutely. Hen's Teeth says people don't want to hear this because they want to believe they can prevent it from happening to themselves. Unfortunately, that apathy can be deadly. And people think, oh, well, that happened to him, but it can't happen to me. It can happen to you. Like I said before, one of two things is going to happen to you. Either you're going to get old or you're going to become disabled. It's going to be one of the two. That's one of the two options that you have. Outside of that, you're dead. So this is why it's important to pay attention to things like this, because really the wrong thing could happen. Like one slip and fall in your own home can cause you to become disabled. You can slip in the tub and hit your neck in the wrong place, and you can become disabled. You can catch a virus that you didn't mean to. You could be swimming in a lake and catch an amoeba. You don't know. Things like that can happen. But safeguards, these social safety nets like this, are supposed to be there for people. And on top of that, these corporations that do not want to do anything to actually help the people who were damaged or hurt, either as customers or employees, it is reprehensible the fact that they are like this. Thank you, Desert Man says capitalism is the overlay on which cronyism works. Thank you. So JB got me smoking already this morning. Take a couple puffs from me, Mastermind, because I need it. Yeah. Hey, Johnson, Emily, good to see you. I didn't get to say hello to you earlier, but it's good to see you too. It's very, very my bestie. Bestie says my brother had the "it can't happen to me" mentality about his drug use. His ashes have sat in my living room since 01. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Stuart Edwards says, yep, they never put the recruiters in the good schools. I used to go and get in recruiters' faces at the college I worked at during the second invasion of Iraq. Ooh, wow. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. Yep. And this is exactly it. Your employer can put you in dangerous situations, and when you get hurt, you're on your own. Hmm. Well, mm. And yes, this is actually a really good point. Please do not take any risks on the job for your employer. Mm-mm. If it's against safety regulations, do not do it. Don't do it. No. If they're like, oh, just mix that one chemical a little bit differently so we can get the job done. No. If you're out, you're out. If you can't find that piece to that machine, do not operate it without. Nope. If you don't have that PPE that you're supposed to have on the job and somehow they send to misplace it, you're not doing that job. Nope. Nope. I am not risking my life and my health for your profits. Absolutely not. Oh, you guys are out of back braces? You guys didn't afford enough to buy more? All right, well, I guess I ain't lifting this. No. I guess I'll stay here on the clock until y'all can get some more. Or I'll just take my ass home. Nope. It is not happening. No. Get the fuck out of here. There's some of these corporations, man. I'm telling you. Hey, Indy Left. Good to see you. So good to see you. And Candles Boat. I see you. And Yanonaya says, yeah, we learned about OSHA as children in school, but obviously that was a fairy tale. Yeah. And in fact, oh, and by the way, another example. Oh, we're out of sanitizer. Oh yeah, I ain't cooking food. I ain't cooking nothing without no sanitizer. Nope. We don't have soap at the hand washing station. I ain't cooking nothing. Nope. We're not doing it. You get us some soap for the hand washing stations. You get us hand sanitizer. Hell, you get us some gloves. All right, then we can play ball. But until then, I ain't cooking nothing because I'm not risking myself and I'm not risking the health of other people who are our customers. Nope. And you have more power than you realize as a worker. So let's go to the next story. But that More Perfect Union clip that I played, that's also linked in the description as well. So just so you guys, actually, you know what? Let me put it in the chat as well, just so some of you guys can have it immediately. And that was sent to me by Rome on Facebook. So you guys can have access to that too. And share it with people to let them know this is how these corporations behave. There is no ethical consumption in capitalism. None. Because even when you try to be ethical in one way, you find out that, like, for instance, you try to be ethical in one way by, eating something healthy, and then you find out, well, to clear that area, they had to kill other animals just in order to clear that area. And then the machines that they use in order to process that stuff is also made by reprehensible companies that exploit their workers. The clothes that you wear on your back, the electronics that you use, no ethical consumption, none. This is why we need to get rid of capitalism, because we need to go back to an ethical consumption, but it has to be done from the foundation on up. That's the only way it can be done. All right, so I got that. Let me see. I already talked about get out of here, PepsiCo. Oh, ugly ass. All right. So, policing. You know how we do. Y'all know how we do here on RBN. We're going to talk about policing. So this is the police scorecard. Shout out to Roger Meadows for sending this to me. This is interesting. Oh, this is a police scorecard. This is by policescorecard.org. So it says, we analyzed data on 13,147 U.S. police departments. Read the findings, see the data for each department. So here's all the departments that they covered in the United States. And so we're going to start with key findings. 9,911 killings by police. Based on population, a Black person was 2.7 times as likely, and a Latina person was 1.6 times as likely to be killed by police as a white person in America from 2013 to 2021. 244,133 civilian complaints of police misconduct. Only one in every 8 complaints were ruled in favor of civilians from 2016 to 2021. In that 5-year span. 73,169,900 arrests made. Police in America made 12 times as many arrests for low-level offenses as for violent crimes from 2013 to 2021. Here's a graph. So if you guys see here, it says police shooting rates, right? I feel like Savvy right now. This is so cool. Like going over all this data. I'm like, I got on like my inner Savvy Savs right now. It's just so cool. Anyway. So police shooting rates. Fine department. I have it for all state all states. Department type, police departments. You can choose between the police department, county, sheriff. So this is, let's do all. Okay. And then population size, multiple values. So Columbus, Ohio looks at the top. And if you go to Columbus, Ohio, policy agency, Columbus Police Department. Data includes both fatal and non-fatal police shootings. Blank cells indicate missing data for that year. Police shooting incidents in 2013, 22, 2014, 9, 2015, 16, 2016, 15, 2017, 13, 2018, 16, 2019, 12, 2020, 17, 2021, 13. Average police shootings per year is 15. They made an average, they made 12,745 arrests in 2013. And you can see all the rest of the arrests up to 2021. Next one, Newark, New Jersey. Average police shootings per year, 11. Cleveland, Ohio. Wait, I'm sorry. Newark. Okay. Detroit, average shootings per year, 14. Cleveland, Ohio, average shootings per year, 5. Average shootings per year, 11 in Kansas City, where Nick lives. And Detroit is where Rome lives. So yeah, look at it. Look at it. Let's go from police shootings to fines, asset forfeiture. This is basically legal theft by police. Asset forfeiture, well, what do you know? Washington, D.C. Revenue from fines, fees, forfeitures in 2020, $158,030,000. Total population of jurisdiction is 712,816. Police spending per resident, 222. And it also gives the data for the source. New York. Look at the revenue from fines, fees, and forfeitures. $1,079,165,000. Chicago. New Orleans. They took and stole $45,584,000. Chicago, $310,104,000. This is from fines, fees, and forfeitures. Nassau, New York, over $102 million. Jersey City, $67 million. You have Baltimore, where Sabby's from, $24 million. That was Jersey City. This was Boston at the $67 million. I'm sorry. Then you have Jersey City at $24 million. You have Baltimore at $36 million. Arrest disparities. This is in Wisconsin. Madison Police Department. Black-white disparity, 12.23%. That's Madison Police Department in Wisconsin. Scottsdale is in Arizona, 8.9. So it shows a comparison. Arrest of black people in 2021 is 225. Arrest of white people in 2021 is 202. Arrest of black people in Scottsdale, Arizona is of black people. Look at Minneapolis. Arrest of black people in 2021, 655. Arrest of white people in Minneapolis is 259. Look at this in Washington and DC. Arrest of black people in 2021, 11,045. Arrest of white people in 2021, 1,142. Atlanta, black people got arrested 1,363 times. White people in Atlanta, 140 times. St. Paul, 455 black people to 236 white people. Seattle, interestingly enough, more white people got arrested. Henderson, Toledo. Pretrial incarceration. I know Olami Oloran, she talks about this a lot. You have Santa Ana, California. Number of people incarcerated is 393. Number incarcerated pretrial in 2019 who have not yet been convicted of a crime, 393. Crazy. It's crazy. I would love to get Nick's opinion on this because he's definitely talks about these all the time. But yeah, his site is brilliant. Misconduct complaints from police. In New York, 3,393 complaints reported. Percent of complaints sustained, upheld, only 6%. Chicago, over 3,000. This is an interesting part. United States Police Department scores. Rankings are based on a 0 to 100% scale. Departments with higher scores use less force, make fewer arrests for low-level offenses, solve murder cases more often, hold officers more accountable, and spend less on policing overall. Overall scores for departments where we have obtained the most data. If you look here, at the bottom of the list is Chicago, number 500. They're at 25%. Red is worse, green is better. I can't tell you how many reds and oranges are in this list. Let's go to show more. Number 500 is Chicago. The second worst is Kansas City, Missouri. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Long Beach, California. And then St. Louis, Missouri. Basically, the lowest five. And then as you go, I have not saw one green square yet. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, TLDR, you're not going to see any green. You're not. Take a look. Look at it. This is how bad policing is in this country. The best is Owatonna, Minnesota. And even still, And how much you want to bet that these are mostly affluent areas? How much you're willing to bet? About the scorecard, this is the first nationwide evaluation of policing in the United States. It was built using data from state and federal databases, public records requests to local police departments, and media reports. While police data is never perfect, and there are additional indicators that still need to be tracked, the police scorecard is designed to provide insight into many important issues in policing. Police Scorecard is an independent 501c3 organization. And then they talk about the methodology and score data. Oops. So if you go to key findings, table of contents, intro, police continue to hide substantial amounts of data from the public. That the federal government does not publish comprehensive data on police violence or misconduct. In 36 states, laws restrict or prohibit agencies from making these records public. Even in states where this information is supposed to be public record, local police agencies often refuse to comply with public records requests or charge exorbitant fees to produce these records. In some cases, like Rapid City, South Dakota, police have refused to provide even basic data on police use of force unless a court orders them to make these records public. Policing differs substantially depending on where you live. It says, as arrests decline, racial disparities persist. Black people were arrested at higher rates than white people in 90% of police jurisdictions, reporting 100 or more arrests in 2020, including every police department with a jurisdiction of over 400,000 population. Despite research showing Black and white people use drugs at similar rates, 3/4 of police departments arrested Black people for drug possession at higher rates than white people. Moreover, despite the overall decline in drug possession arrests in big cities, Black-white arrest disparities and these arrests have grown in many cities since 2013, a trend that has been cited in previous research. Though there were racial disparities in arrests in almost every jurisdiction, the most severe disparities tend to be found in smaller towns and cities. Of the 500 departments with the largest Black-white racial disparities in arrests, 4 and 5 had a population of fewer than 1,500 people. These highlights the need to expand and deepen policy that practice interventions beyond the largest cities to also reach more rural and small city jurisdictions. And this has 9 in 10 police departments arrest Black people at higher rates than white people. So, when people look and say Black on Black crime, when people try to say, oh, we just need to back the blue, we just need to increase funds for policing, they're literally, number one, robbing us while not solving that much crime, because they solve like 2% of crime, which means 98% of crimes go unsolved by police. And yet, you have people like Joe Biden and the Democrats that want to increase funding for police. There's nothing really to defend here. Nothing. So I'm going to go to the chat really quick. Marxist Saw says, if you go to KC, Kansas City, you'll see these cops all over the place that look like young skateboarders or something that wear very regular clothes, but they have badges and walkie-talkies. It's really weird. So they have a lot of plain clothes policing. Interesting. Sable Miner says, so no place is safe from thug pigs. Gene says, I will look for anarcho-syndicalist groups in the U.S. and see if anything similar is happening. Ray da Coresia says, it is depressing to listen to Violent City. It leaves a mark on your soul that your mind tries but can't forget. Oh, yeah. It's just like I said before. Even if a cop is black, they're a cop first and black second. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. That thin blue line goes very far. Tracy says it's disgusting to see how many people defend police executing citizens on social media because he pointed a gun at the cops. Like that allows a cop to eliminate them. Yeah, Gene says back to blue until it happens to you. Absolutely. Yes, I keep my fan on because I love to have air movement. I don't like to have stagnant air in my room. Wow. Bill Bradley says the entire U.S. justice system is effed. Classist in general, and more specifically, very racist. Absolutely. And Gene, you said it. The cops are a strong arm of the U.S. mafia. Agreed. This is interesting. Disparities in murder clearance rates. All right. Because while police were more likely to arrest black people for low-level offenses, they were less likely to find someone responsible for the most serious offense, homicide, when the victim was black. Nationwide, police report findings a suspect in 84% of homicides of white victims from 2013 to 2020, compared to only 64% of Latina victims and 57% of black victims. So police were less likely to solve murders of black and Latin X victims. So black murders solved 57%, Latinx murders solved 64%, white murders solved 84%. Allegedly. Black communities are more heavily policed. Well, no shit, Sherlock. In addition to widespread racial disparities and arrest and murder clearance rates, communities with more Black residents tended to be more saturated with police officers, with more police officers per population, and also tended to spend more money on policing overall. Moreover, police agencies in Black communities confiscated more money and resources from residents through fines and forfeitures than police agencies in other jurisdictions, even among jurisdictions with similar violent crime rates. There are consistently more police officers in communities where more Black people live. And here is the chart. There are more police in communities with more Black residents per 10,000. So look. So the lower amount of Black people, the less police. The more Black people, the more police. So this is why we talk about these things constantly on RBN, because it's not us that are making this a Black issue. It's the state making it a Black issue. It's the municipalities making this into a Black issue. It's the federal government making this into a Black issue, because they actually make the disparity and they put it on us. This is why you have people like myself and everybody else at RBN constantly talking about the shootings, especially of unarmed Black people, all the time. Why? Because who else is covering this? Yeah, you probably have people like Kim Brown. You probably have Black Power Media that cover this. But unless it's something really, really trending in news, a lot of the white channels, and by white channels, I'm talking about the legacy left, they don't talk about it unless it's super popular. It has to be like George Floyd popular in order for them to talk about it. So that's the way it is. Let me also make sure to share this on Rockfin as well. So when we say things like defund the police on the road to abolition, this is what we're talking about. We're not just saying this stuff just to be contrarian. No, we literally, this defunding the police is actually being pro public safety, because they're literally bad for us. And just to let y'all see, once again, and I will promote it every single time, 10 for justice. Because guess what? If you guys don't, you guys talk to somebody about defunding the police, guess what? Show them that report. And also, here's some answers. 10 for justice. Boom. You guys have the resources right here, so that you guys can see exactly what to do. People be like, oh, what we're supposed to do? Defund the police. Because they're wholly inadequate. And this is why we do it. This is why we advocate for it. Nick is literally one of the co-founders. Yes, Bill. As has been said many times on RBN, the police exist only to protect the Capitol. And that's absolutely true. So, yeah. And so you can have people who say, well, we need more police. Not really. What we need is to end poverty. That's public safety. Yeah. Real truth. Systemic prison planet. A lot of people are amazed to find out that even though the United States comprises of 5% of the world's population, we have 25% of the world's prison population. We have a quarter of the world's prison population, despite only being 5% of the world's population. Something is wrong. Something's wrong. Does that mean we actually have a free country? If we're imprisoning people a lot of times for poverty? Yes, Eric says, when people say, how can you defund, point them at 10 for justice. Yeah. Tracy says, I wish there was a way we could spend defund the police to appear to be a beneficial to cops, so they no longer have to deal with the mental health issues. Instead, the negative ties to the slogan. Well, you could say something like reinvesting in communities by taking the burden off of police. I mean, I'm still an abolitionist, so I'm still going to say defund the police and the road to abolition so that we can rethink public safety in a better, more productive and safer way. Because once you start to give people the actual facts on the ground and the studies that have been shown, then they start to realize, oh shit, well, police is bad. The way we have policing done in this country has been wholly not only inadequate, but also dangerous and deadly to many of us. So we do it the way we can. Yeah. And also, Tracy, I think it's also just important to know your audience. That also comes into play. It's not always easy though. But you open the door. Even if the person vehemently disagrees, if you take the numbers and the actual facts and put it in there as a message, it will sit there in their brain, a splinter in their mind. And when stuff goes down, they're going to remember what the hell you said. Because the thing is that you're not going to turn people over overnight. You're not going to convince people overnight. Sometimes it may take for them to experience the heat themselves. Even though we don't want them to experience it, they may end up experiencing it themselves. And all we can do is give them the information. What did Morpheus say in the Matrix? He said, all I can do is show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it. That's all you can do. Keep fighting. Keep fighting, Tracy. So, Stuart. Inject that into my veins. Stuart says, poverty is a deliberate act of violence against the impoverished. It is not an accident of fate. It is not a character flaw. Absolutely. Really, it is a symptom. Nay, not just a symptom, but it is a feature of the system. And yes, Mika, very true. Conversations that begin as arguments online are an opportunity for us to drop facts. Thank you. This is why this link is very important. It's also in the description. By the way, have you subscribed to RBN yet? because we talk about stuff like this all the time. We talk about the data and the details and the facts and all these different things that actually let us know why our world, why our country, why our planet is in the place that it's in. And so this is why, if you haven't liked the stream, make sure to like the stream. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe, because this puts this information forward in front of people, because the algorithm does not want us to be pushed forward. But it can't help but to see that people like what they're watching by if you subscribe, as well if you give us a thumbs up. So please make sure to do that, and do that now. Thank you. Now, let's go to something a little bit more lighthearted. This I saw a couple days ago, and it touched me in my heart. And I want you guys to see this, because even though we started somber, I would like for us to look at something that warms your heart, that sends you away with a good feeling. And in this story, I want to see stories like this as normal, to the point where it's just like, oh, well, yeah. I want to normalize stories like this so that we're not even affected by it anymore. Is it kittens? No, not as fluffy, but it will still put a warm feeling in your heart. Oh, of course, the stream is being throttled. This is why I say to like and subscribe, so that we can continue to keep growing, because they don't want us to they don't want us to be up forward. But thank you so much for that. Okay. All right. So this person, named first name, said this was dope. This was dope. I am going to share my screen. I want you guys to see this. And if some of y'all are affected by warm, good feeling scenes, get the box of tissues close. Get the box of tissues close by. You're gonna need it. I'll give you some time. You got your box of I don't care if you got to get a roll of Angel Soft, baby. Get a box of tissues ready, because this is some warm stuff. All right, this is dope. All right. Woo! All right, let's go. Prepare to smile, people.
I had told them we were going to an open house.
So, y'all know how. Look up for crap. What? I've been working. I've been telling y'all. I got y'all, right? Go in, see. You gotta lock it all the way until you hear it click. Take it to the left all the way until you hear it click. Turn all the way to the left.
To the left, to the left.
Turn all the way the key to the left.
Everything you own in the box to the left.
All I do is want to eat. Welcome
finding their rooms.
You gonna find your room?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, you are.
I got y'all. What y'all think?
It's amazing.
That should never be rare. In fact, those kids should have had something like that already their entire lives. This is a bittersweet story because they now have something to call their own, but it should have been normalized a long time ago. I am very happy for them. I'm very happy for them. But at the same time, I'm sad because they should have had it the entire time. I think someone quoted that saying that in China, they have, especially among millennials, they have 90% of millennials own houses, whereas the housing ownership rate is around 65% here in the United States. And it's steadily dropping because they're making us into a nation of renters. But the mere fact that she made them think that they were going to an open house and then surprised them, and all their stuff is already moved in, and they have a home now that they can call their own. It's beautiful that they can have that. Everyone should have the same. Everybody. As someone that has lived housing insecure basically the entirety of my life, my mother is in her 70s and she's never owned her own home. Ever. I can't afford to own a home. Sabby and I were talking about this yesterday. We were on the phone talking. And we were talking about housing. And one of the things that she mentioned was, it's funny how if you pay your rent on time, that does not factor into your credit. I have been on time for my rent for years. And if that had factored into my credit, I probably would be able to have owned a house back then. The amount of money that I'm paying on rent, that could be a mortgage. I could be halfway into a 30-year mortgage right now. Halfway there. But because of the way the racial disparities and the system is set up, can't do it. And now I'll never be able to own a home. You'll never be able to have your own. You'll never be able to have really what you need. This is why we talk about changing the economic system in this country from the bottom up so that more stories like this can happen, so it becomes so normalized. It's just like, oh yeah, everybody has their own home. Normalize everybody having a home. Normalize not knowing what the hell homelessness is because it doesn't exist. Normalize it. I want kids to be like, oh yeah, we own a home. Yeah. Okay. Normalize it. You see the glee and the light on their faces. They were goofy happy. When was the last time you were goofy happy? Like you were just like, I'm happy. When was the last time? I believe that everybody deserves that. I believe that everybody deserves that level of contentment. So how did that make you feel? It make you feel hopeful? I hope so. Because that's one of the things I wanted to bring to you guys today. Yes, we talked about, the sad story about, PepsiCo and Frito Lay. We talked about that. We talked about the police scorecard and how the police disparities happen within this country constantly. And that we talked about that problem. And then we talked about the solution of 10 demands for justice. But now is to transition to something that's more hopeful. And so that's why stories like this are important, to keep our spirits up of what can possibly be. Because it may not even happen to somebody like me. But what if it happens to my nieces, my nephews, my new great nephew? What if it happens for your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids? What if it happens for them? What if it happens for your little brother or little sister? What if it happens for them? What if you could be the catalyst that helps that to happen? This is why we're talking about general strikes. This is why we're talking about revolution, because the thing is this is what's necessary in order for people to have a system where they can actually thrive collectively. This is what RBN is about. Two people who are members of RBN have kids. They want to see this future. Two of the members of RBN are dads, and they want to see this future for their children. Because even if they don't get to see it for themselves, at least they know deep in their hearts that a equal, equitable, egalitarian future awaits their kids and their grandkids. And that's what's important. We also want an equal, equitable, and egalitarian future for the plants and animals around us too, because they matter. Yeah. Let me go to the chat real quick, just so we can get some of the comments. Rick Solis says housing is a human right. Yes. Say it louder for the people in the back, Rick. Jack says real power in home and property ownership. Absolute right. Absolutely. Workers owning the home that they live in. Not only owning the means of production, but owning their dwelling place as well. Cobra Commander says DPRK is best. Free healthcare, free education, no rent, no taxes. If anarchists knew what utopia really was, they'd be mad. John to Emily says housing is human right. Roger, good to see you, Roger. I was shouting you out earlier, bud. Those didn't look like millennials, they look like Zoomers. Yes, but the mom was probably a millennial. And those were her kids. They were teenagers when they got their first house. Bling Girl, good to see you already. Terry Connolly says housing, food, clean water, clothing are human rights. I agree. Yes, where, buddy, super ecstatic. I would be too. Paul says no one should pay for their shelter. Oh yeah. By the way, did you guys know that the credit score is younger than me? Yeah, the credit score actually didn't come out until 1988. True story. Jack says, how do we take home ownership for granted, though? How can we chain value without devotion? How will we behave when housing is our right? Will we let maintenance and value fall, or will we rise up? Well, that's a good question. Thing is a lot of times maintenance and value go down because people just really don't have the means in order to upkeep. It's not laziness, it's just money, poverty. Some people may be able to fix it themselves, but why do people fix it themselves? Some people fix it themselves because they don't have the money to do it and they rather do it themselves because they rather save that money. But if they had the money to fix it themselves, some people may still want to fix it themselves because, well, they like to work with their hands. But some people, if they could choose to just pay for it, they might be able to pay for it. Ray says, Lugansk and Donetsk workers, governments ban privatization of companies, land, government housing, water, sewage, education, cultural, sports institutions, gas, heating, infrastructure, electricity. Very interesting. Devin says there are 34 vacant homes for every one homeless person in America, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's more vacant homes than homeless people or houseless people who are who designate as people who sleep out on the streets. Though there are more homeless people than that because I count anyone who has to live someplace because they either can't afford housing, they have to room up with somebody, or like their credit isn't good enough for them to have housing, so they have to stay in like a motel or something like that. I also count them as homeless. If you're sleeping on somebody's couch and it's not by financial choice, like let's say hypothetically, you can afford your own home, you can afford your own place to live, but you just choose to sleep on the couch because you just don't want to own one, that's one thing. But most people don't choose that. Therefore, the person who sleeps on the couch is also homeless. Some people have to continue to stay living at home with their families. Technically, they're homeless because they don't have their own. So, but yeah, there's a lot of homeless people. Some people don't even want to admit it. They're like, well, I just fell on hard times. I'm just sleeping on the sofa. You're homeless. Jack says, to be the pinnacle of civilization, we must increase the value of our homes with love and care when the revolution comes. Thank you so much. Yeah, everybody deserves to be goofy happy. I deserve to be goofy happy. You deserve to be goofy happy. Thank you for watching, Waddy. Appreciate it. Steve says, I literally have the moment in my entire life where I truly felt that kind of happiness. Ooh, I'm sorry. Real Truth says, bank is happy they're extorting interest payments. Tracy says some things should never be left to the private sector. Food, shelter, healthcare, public transportation, and education should all be provided to every citizen just because they are a citizen. I agree. Marxist Saw says China's Constitution, Article 8, the various forms of cooperative economic activities in cities and towns shall be part of the socialist economy under collective ownership by the working people. I like that. The Oracle at Delphi says, makes me feel a type of deep sorrow because I know a fully housed America will not manifest in my lifetime. That's true. But be happy that the foundation you're laying down now can happen for others. There was a quote that I shared. And this kind of goes along with what you were saying, the Oracle at Delphi. Let me see if I can find it. I put it on my profile. I quoted because I heard somebody say it in a clip. And I actually want to go over this because it's really good. Let me see. I have it up here. Let me see. Oh. Let me see. Ah, here it is. Found it. Let me share my screen really quick because I actually found this to be very interesting. And I think you guys will too. I appreciate it very much. And after that, I'm going to head out. It says, this is a Greek proverb, says, a society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. Be that old person that plants a tree even though you know you'll never experience the shade, even though you never will experience the fruit that it bears. Still, plant that tree. Plant a few trees for the next one. Because guess what? Your happiness is knowing that you help provide for people, even though you may not see the fruits of it. Leave the world better than you found it. You may not experience that world. You may not. But the important part is that you are showing kindness and compassion to your fellow humans who are not even existing yet. That is love and compassion. Because you want to provide for people who aren't even thought of. Right? See, this is what I call true pro-life. Right? It's not the whole choice when it comes to abortion. No. True pro-life means that you want to have a society for the future generations that is well off, even though you may not experience the fruits of that labor. And so the Oracle at Delphi, I hope this kind of gives you some hopefulness in your heart, because this is what we look forward to, right? I continued. I said, our problem is that we have a bunch of wealthy old men who refuse to plant those trees. Luckily for us, we can send those old men out to pasture. And then in their stead, we can plant those trees and provide for our future generations. That's what it's about. Isn't that beautiful? Let's be those old people that plant those trees. And let's plant as many as we possibly can muster. Mhm. Yes, Eric. Change can happen faster. Well, yep, new future on the horizon. So, anywho, um, mm, 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 mm. Oh, hang on. Let me read this on Rockfin really quick before I get going. This was a good show. All right. Gene Zybeck, thank you so much for the tip on Rockfin. Thank you so very much. Also, thank you for the tip, Roger. Roger says public banks are insurer for community banks, especially Black-owned banks, encouraging us to bank with institutions we own. In this case, banks have a record of being fair to us in banking services. Also, the mom of those children was most likely of my Gen X. And the exception of unplanned births, people usually give birth to the generation that follow their generation. Mills, mills are children, millennials are children of boomers. While that is true, my my sister-in-law, her kids are Gen Z, and she's a millennial. So I think Gen Alpha. I think Gen Alpha started 2010. I think that's when Gen Alpha started. Between 2010, yeah, I think 2010 between 2010 and 2020. I think the new kids right now are Generation Beta, but I don't know what they're going to be called. But I know that the generation after Gen Z is Gen Alpha. But yeah, that's also partly true. Like my mom's a boomer, and uh, but I could have been a child of a Gen Xer, because if a Gen Xer had, because the beginning of Gen X was 1965, so between 1965, I was born in 84, so a Gen Xer could have been 19 years old and gave birth to a kid, and I could have been that kid. But and there are some people who are Gen X who did have kids in the 80s who are now millennials, but I think it varies too. But I think you're correct in this as well. Rory O'Neill says, "Happy Sunday, happy Sunday, Rory." Roger also continues, says, "X are the children of silent matures, and Zoomers are our children only because a generation usually have 15 to 20 years. That's why I say only unplanned births, teen pregnancies, in particular, to give birth to the next generation." My 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 sister-in-law, I think, was 19 when she gave birth to her first child, and I think my brother was 20. Yeah, I think he was 20. Yeah, he was 20. So, but it also depends too, unplanned and things like that. There's a bunch of variables, which is true. Very true, Bill Bradley. People also had kids young back in the day. My dad was 25 when I was born. That was abnormal for his generation. Yeah, my mom didn't have me until she was 33. She had my oldest brother at 25. And my mom's a boomer. And her son is Gen X. So that's the thing. So my brother is literally Gen X. So sometimes it happens that way. But yeah. 2012 is the last year of Zoomer. Hmm. Interesting. Either way, it's an interesting conversation. 15 years they consider for a generation nowadays. Yeah. But it's a interesting conversation we can have another time. But I gotta get going because I'm gonna make dinner early. Plus I gotta get ready because I have dialysis tomorrow and spending a long weekend. But I want to thank all of you for joining. Also, by the way, once again, did you like the stream? You know CJ watching. You don't want to disappoint him. CJ will be like that dad if you spill some juice and it like that bounty commercial. CJ's gonna go. You don't want that disappointing look in his eyes. So if you don't want the disappointing look in CJ's eyes, like the stream. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Like the stream, baby. Anywho, I want to thank. Oh, by the way, also let me go here just to let you guys know. The latest reading for Dirty Truths, as well as the Asada Shakur autobiography. It's going to be finished over this weekend. So if you guys want to see that on my channel, then you guys can see that. I'm going to put the link to my channel in the chat if you guys want to subscribe to my channel. Because, yes, I have my own channel. So, boom, there you go. As well as here. Boom, there you go. So, be sure to subscribe. I bet he... Bree and Shama. Woo! That's all I got to say. I ain't saying no more than that. Anywho, love you. Look, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Smoke them if you got them. Or just chillax. Today is a nice day. And there's clouds. Oh, whatever. All right. Bye-bye.